believe very strongly in individual liberty. I think people should be allowed to do and say whatever they want so long as they aren't hurting others. I think that the civilian population should remain well armed. And I think that the federal government should have very, very, very minimal interference in our day-to-day lives.
You would believe that, fascist.
You do realize that the three things I just listed as being very important to me are like three of the things that fascists hate the most, right?
All Republicans are fascists.
Whoa. Who the fuck said I was a Republican?
Republican, conservative, it's all the same.
I'm not even a conservative either. Conservatives think things should stay the same. I think we need to undo some stuff, if we're being honest.
People like you are exactly what's holding our society back from progressing.
Progressing towards what?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe a society where gender is seen as a social construct and there's no religion and the government takes into account intersectionality in its legislation and there's no such thing as personal property and we all subsist on a diet of soy and insects because it's good for the environment.
Now I feel like I'm not doing enough. What else can I do to help slow this progress?
Well, I believe very strongly in individual liberty. I think people should.
Well, hello there, partner. Go on and hang up your hat, grab yourself a whiskey, and pull up in the easy chair. We're coming off the range of 9 to 5s with a whole herd of news stories that we've been steaming over like a cow patty in the Texas heat. As they say, the chickens are finally coming home to roost. And we're here to ruffle some feathers and ensure accountability ain't just a concept, it's reality. It's that time where the day's drama casts its longest shadow. So let's light a candle to the chaos of current events, the whirlwind of politics, and the tangled webs of corruption that we find ourselves entwined by. It's time to ramble our way into the twilight. Welcome to Sunset Rants.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Sunset Rants. I'm your host, Biddy, here with my co-host, Valley, and we're here to bring you all the updated news of the day. You can find me on X, Elizabitty213A. Hey, Valley, how you doing?
Hey, I'm good. Glad to be here. It's officially hump day, so we're halfway through, you guys. You can find me. I go by that Valley Girl, your common sense advocate. You can find me on X at the Cali Melody. There we go, right there. Don't forget to follow us on X and also join the Rumble at Roma Nation so that you can help support us. Am I still muted?
Yes. No, you're good.
Oh,
absolutely, okay. Join Rumble.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay, cool.
we need to support the free speech app more than anything.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a lot of stories going on today. The first one being that Elon Musk has spoken out against the BBB, not the Better Business Bureau, the big, beautiful bill.
Yes.
If you want to pull that up, producer. All right. So let's see, we have the is it the Fox article that we have up right now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Elon Musk has been really outspoken. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. He warns excessive spending will plunge the U.S. into debt slavery. Now, this comes after Elon made like an extremely vocal post on X in regards to this. I think it was like one of his like most interactive tweets. We'll get to that in a second. But essentially, Trump and Musk are at odds over the big beautiful bill. That was my answer. Elon Musk, who issued a rebuke of one big beautiful bill act in the House Republicans who voted for it, is sounding the alarm into America's spending, warning that it will plunge the nation into debt slavery. This immense level of overspending will drive America into debt slavery, Musk declared early on Wednesday on a post on X. He later flagged a message from the personal account of Senator Mike Lee, which said the accrued interest on the national debt now exceeds $1 trillion a year, more than we spend on national defense, commenting that this is debt slavery for the American people. His messages come as the U.S. national debt is more than $36 trillion. Like, yeah, we get it, but it has been rising and has been $36 trillion for quite some time. So I'm wondering what type of like personal spat is going on between these two, besides the GOP, you know, taking so long to like codify the bills, right?
Yeah.
So the interest payments already consume 25% of all government revenue. If the massive deficit continues, if the spending continues, there'll only be money for interest payments and nothing else. No Social Security, no medical, no defense, nothing, he declared in another post. So Trump has been supporting the proposal that cleared the House last month, but on Tuesday, Musk blasted both the measure and the people who voted for it. So again, like he's gone, Trump has gone for blood when it comes to Massey and Rand Paul and others that are, you know, more fiscally conservative, libertarian Republicans, right? But, you know, do you think that he is going to come out and vocally challenge Musk? Or, because we obviously know Musk was one of Trump's largest donors during the campaign, is he going to keep silent in regards to this, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, he might just stay kind of like, you know, out of like throwing daggers at him because, you know, they were a big supporter of each other. I think it makes sense. I mean, not only do I agree that we need to cut spending all the way down, I agree with Musk on that. And I agree that there are a lot of things that, you know, came up in the bill that needed to not be there. So, but also you gotta understand that, like, I mean, just think about yourself, just, you know, what you put into something. If you put your entire energy into a project and you sacrifice the rest of your life, like he kind of did, you know, he sacrificed his you know, coverage and like all his other programs. So he put all of his energy into Doge and into getting, you know, finding out all the waste, fraud, and abuse. And then you see this bill come out and it's not reflective of, you know, all of this spending that we need to cut and everything that's been uncovered. So I would be pissed too. It would, you know, it hits you right in the gut. And you can say like, you know, oh, you know, this is business, it's not personal, whatever. But, you know, it is personal when you're putting your entire energy of your life into something. And again, I agree that that spending needs to go down. So,
yeah, I mean, definitely. Like Massey, great tweet from Massey. I guess I should just start saying like X post, but it doesn't like jive with me. Like I'll always be like a tweet. It's insincere for Speaker Johnson to insinuate Elon Musk is against the big, beautiful bill because it doesn't benefit his company specifically. Musk is a true American first entrepreneur who could have had a much more comfortable existence and a higher net worth by sitting on the sidelines of politics, but he cares about this country, so he got involved. He knows if America collapses financially, we aren't making it to Mars. He's right. So, I mean, you know, there could be, and I've said this, I feel like I say like the same things over and over. Like it's not deja vu. I just keep saying the same things, right? But it's like,
because it's still true.
No, it's so true. Like you have one person's truth, the second truth, and then the third truth is somewhere in the middle. And, you know, do I think that he's doing this because he wants us to be in the best interest of the private sector and his companies? Like, yes, I do. And, you know, Massey's kind of saying that as well, right? Like if the economy tanks, he's not going to have enough funding and we aren't going to be able to go to Mars. So in a way, it's not like he's necessarily lying. You know, just some points I kind of put together when you talk about, you know, especially in our cold open, when we have like the libertarian headspace, just to elaborate more on that, like the libertarian and fiscal conservative like talking points. It's supposed to cut $1.6 trillion worth of spending over 10 years. But even though that sounds good, the annual deficit is over $2 trillion. So the deficit outpaces the cuts, essentially. Like it doesn't even begin to nearly even out. So let's just assume that like the 1.6 trillion spending cuts over 10 years was reality. But let's also assume that the $180 billion in cuts from the Department of Government Efficiency is accurate. So the cuts would be an annual thing, not just the spending over 10 years, but it would be $180 billion like every single year for 10 years.
Right.
So
and remember the arguments too.
Cut of that.
Right. Remember the arguments from some people in Congress. They were saying, oh, you can't, when Doge was uncovering all of this, waste, fraud, and abuse, and they were saying, well, you can't stop these payments to USAID and all this other stuff. It's been approved by Congress. It has to go through Congress and all this other stuff. So now we have a bill going through Congress. So all of the things that we were saying, we need to cut down on, we need to stop spending on, it should be in this bill. Like I know that there was parts in there about NPR cuts and PBS cuts and things like that, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. I mean, the things that we heard coming out over the first couple of months of Doge's activity. Another thing that I heard, which was kind of weird, and I looked it up, but the BBB, as you called it, the Big Beautiful Bill, there is a provision in it that eliminates key electric vehicle tax credits. So, and that was established under the Inflation Reduction Act. So it terminates the $7,500 federal tax credit for new EV purchases effective December of this year. And it also eliminates the $4,000 tax credit for used EVs on the same date. So, a friend of mine in the Discord was asking, do you think that this is kind of like bothering Musk in any way?
Yeah, I mean, I would think so, right?
It would stop people from buying as much as they did before.
Yeah, and I was listening to a space earlier, and one person brought up in the space, like, why is Elon speaking out now only after the proposed bill was, put down in fourth of Congress? So it's a very interesting point. But again, you have like Thomas Massey, you have Rand Paul, you have Mike Lee, you're having a lot of
Chip Roy, he's been very vocal.
Yeah, you're having a lot of people coming to Elon Musk's defense. And then even like Marjorie Taylor Greene was like,
she said something about if she read everything, she wouldn't have. Yeah. And I was like, I beg your pardon, what?
Like, okay, I low-key respect that though, because she's admitting what most people in Congress most people in Congress don't read these bills, and that's why you have these large like filibusters, because like this bill was over 2,000 pages, and she even said like, oh, if I had actually taken the time to read the bill, I would have voted no on it, because it's essentially saying that we can't interfere with the use of AI on a federal level within the next 10 years.
Right.
Which is insane.
Right. It's kind of like we're taking money from one part that we're spending a ton of money on, and we're moving it over to another industry. Yeah. I mean, I understand that AI is the future, and nations like China and everything have got kind of like a head start on these things. So we do have to embrace it. We do have to make sure that our infrastructure is set up for it, and that we're ready to, be competitive in that arena. But I don't know, because it kind of I know AI and putting something in your body like vaccines is totally different, but it kind of reminds me of the thing where it's kind of like the liability was taken away from pharmaceutical companies, and you think about like liability getting taken away from this new thing that we still are learning, how far we can go with AI and what it actually, how it will actually affect society as a whole if we fully embrace it. So it's kind of odd. And listen, I'm a Trump girl. I love Trump. Yes. But big bills, you can call it beautiful. You can call it whatever you want. I don't like them if they come out of Republican. I don't like them coming out of Democrat. I don't care where they are. It should never be like this. These bills should never be this large. And because Congress has been dragging their feet the entire beginning of this year as well, it also seems like they put themselves in a situation where they're like, oh, we'll just mash it all together because we have no choice. We have to get it passed. We have to get the vote. So we're going to compromise in certain areas and things like that. And it's just like business as usual.
Compromise. Yeah, I mean, I think it's compromise, but I also think it's because it's throwing in a lot of propositions that you wouldn't vote on if they were presented in
individually.
Yeah, and the thing about AI, really quickly before we move on, we were going to cover it on our last segment, but we ran out of time there. What's scary about AI is now Google VO3 has come out with the AI capability where they're doing like street interviews and they're doing like these, corny rom-coms, and they're like very, very lifelike. Get the subtitles on the screen and it'll be gibberish, but that is like the only thing that's off about AI. And if you think about like 5 years ago when that whole thing with Will Smith eating the plate of spaghetti came out, I don't know if you remember that, but it was like a really, really bad attempt at AI. And then only within 5 years, it's become almost indistinct.
Yeah. Remember we generated an image. I forgot what we were doing. We're doing like something for Facts and Sass, and we generated an image, and the words on the shirt or whatever it was they made sense. It was actually a clear word.
Yeah.
And we were like, that's new. It wasn't like that a while ago.
Yeah. And so with these AI programs, and if you think about all the tools that the government has as far as advancing AI and saying that there's not going to be a cap within the next 10 years, like that's scary. Like we voted in technocrats, right? So, there might be a lot of spending in there in regards to that. I have not written, I haven't read the big, beautiful bill. What I'm just seeing is a lot of clapback because of, people like Thomas Massey who are saying it's a debt bomb ticking. It's also the biggest missed opportunity conservatives have to put our country back on track as far as fiscal sanity. If we defeat this bill, a better one can be offered that won't bankrupt our country. So
I wonder what like
needle on this.
Right. Like I wonder, because I really want to know, like when they say these things, like when people come out and say, there's not enough cuts, there's not enough, there's too much spending still. Yeah. And yes, when you balance the sheet and you get to the bottom, you could see that there's a raise in to our debt. But what specifically are they hoping? Or like what suggestions do you other members of Congress that are opposed to this bill do you have, like, out of these parts to cut? Because there was cuts to Medicare and Medicaid, and that was huge, and that was also to combat a lot of, because there was a ton of fraud. I mean, there were people that were on Social Security and Medicare and stuff that were like 120 years old. I mean, it was like a lot of people that they found that were no longer with us, and they were still receiving benefits. But also illegal immigrants, getting Medicaid, and some speculation of whether or not they're undocumented here for a long time, and then they end up getting, other kind of benefits. So there's that. So there was cuts to that. There were tax credits for, like child tax credits, and things like that. And, the extension of the 2017 tax cuts. So there were tax cuts that are supposed to hit us, and we're supposed to feel it as some kind of like relief. So I'm just curious. I'm just playing the devil advocate here because I feel like everybody comes out and says stuff, but they don't have any suggestions. But anyway, I'm sure we'll hear more about this.
Yeah. I think we'll definitely, this is going to be an ongoing thing. I know we wanted to move on to Karine Jean-Pierre, who's no longer a Democrat. Do you have that pulled up on your end?
Yes. Yeah, so coming to you from the New York Post, ex-White House press secretary Karine Jean-Pierre claims she's no longer a Democrat while hyping memoir of broken Biden administration. Joe Biden's longtime White House press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, KJP, as she's known, announced Wednesday she has left the Democratic Party and is writing a tell-all book about the, quote, broken administration that she served. Jean-Pierre worked as Biden's top spokeswoman for 2 years and 8 months and stunned fellow White House alums by announcing her book, Independent, A Look Inside a Broken White House Outside the Party Lines, due out on October 21st. Jean-Pierre didn't come to her decision to be an independent lightly, Hatchet Book Group said in a promotional release, which hints that the former Biden spokesperson may focus her ire on figures aside from the 46th president in her account. Yeah, she's it's really wild. I was looking a couple of videos up. So in a recent video, when she was doing the promotion for this, she said, "I think we need to stop thinking in boxes and think outside of our boxes and not be so partisan." Okay.
She literally joined. She got picked as the speaker.
Mm-hmm.
Or what is that? Press secretary?
Press secretary. Yeah.
Because she was literally checked off. She literally checked off boxes. She checked off DEI boxes.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting to me how all of a sudden she does not want to go by specific labels.
But you know, they're really good at this because they understand that people have short-term memory. A lot of people do. And there's a ton of stuff that goes on, you know, that not everybody's immersed in daily as we are, you know, like we're constantly looking into stuff.
Yeah.
But because there's so much going on, I think people, I mean, the internet's forever. So you could look stuff up, you could look videos up, you know, even after she left the White House and she went on The View, she still wasn't like saying things like this. She still was like kind of running interference. But, you know, she went on to say, the way that I see moving forward in this space that we are in right now is if you are willing to stand side by side with me, regardless of your political or how you identify politically, as long as you respect the community that I belong to and vulnerable communities that I respect, I will be there with you and I will move forward with you. Asking, how do we move forward together? So I like her to define the word respect too, because, you know, you can respect somebody's, you know, beliefs and point of view, but if it's being pushed on you and, you know, you're being forced to say, ma'am, you know, as we've seen those crazy videos and stuff like that, then, you know, we're talking about something else. But this is kind of like a trend that we're seeing. And like, you know, because for 4 years of the Biden administration, we were watching the news outlets, Karine Jean-Pierre, all the other Democrats, a whole ton of people running interference for, you know, what we all saw with our own eyes of what was going on with Biden, what was going on in the Democratic Party, you know, screening of Americans behind the scenes and all this other kind of stuff. And now we have them coming out writing tell-all books and getting paid, you know, for, you know, saying that they were being pressured and all this other kind of stuff. And now they're coming out, you know, with the truth. But it's really quite interesting because I'm wondering who's next on deck to come out.
Well, you know, yeah. So, I mean, I posted something on X myself in regards to it because when you think of Lindy Lee, now Lindy Lee was an ex-Biden staffer who was part of his 2020 presidential campaign. She has since become a Republican. So she has gone on like the Sean Ryan show. She's like gone on like multiple right-wing and independent networks to tell her story. And I feel like this is another, I don't know if it's another grift per se, but, people are essentially ashamed to have been a part of the Biden cover-up, right? Because both of these characters are backpedaling on their liberal stances, trying to rebrand themselves and separate themselves from the establishment. And Lindy has somewhat succeeded just because the right loves to gossip and like prove, be proven right. But, these people shouldn't be profiting off of lying to the American people. Now, again, this is politics. I understand everyone lies all the time. But I mean, I just feel like this is a prediction of more and more ex-Democratic strategists like speaking up. I have on my X quote tweeted from Nick Swerter, who actually talks about the top 5 lies that KGP told during the Biden administration. So, for her to come out with a book, I think might be doing a little bit of PR damage. She might genuinely feel bad about all these things, like how President Biden never visited the border, right? I think it was Peter Doocy that called her out. People don't just walk across the border.
I mean, like, to be
but that's
fair,
not how
though,
it works. Like, we actually
that is what has happened.
But that's not. It's not like somebody.
it's the remix.
It's a remix.
Yeah. But, like, if you are going to stay in that position as the White House press secretary and you're supposed to be the speaker for the president, to the press, you're going to, it just comes with the territory. You're going to say things that are in favor of the person you work for. So if anything, like she kept the job, I would say she did her job that was given to her, which was to make everything seem like it was all peaches and cream. What she should have done was to had some integrity and say, this is not cool. Everything that's going on here is not right, and left.
Yeah, exactly. Like she should have left. She should have left. Right. And, again, more people are coming out. Oh my gosh. More people have been coming out. Like Jake Tapper is like going to drop a book now. Right.
Yeah. So, I did the post, the same Nick Sorter post. I reposted mine today and I said the same thing about Jake Tapper. I'm like, who's next? Because I feel like it's just going to constantly happen. And it's not only that, but there's a ton of people leaving the Democratic Party. Like there in 2024, West Virginia Senator Joe Manchin registered as an independent after serving more than 2 decades in Congress. Just this past month, Kentucky State Senator Robin Webb switched to the Republican Party, saying the Democrats left me. And in March of this year, MSNBC host Simone Sanders Townsend, who was the national secretary at one point to Bernie Sanders during his 2016 presidential campaign, and then later named chief spokesperson and senior advisor for VP Kamala Harris, said she wanted to change her party registration after Senator Chuck Schumer shared support for a GOP budget resolution, upset due to the $1 billion cut from Washington, D.C., saying she's a D.C. resident, she's pissed, and she's thinking to change her registration to independent. And and on and on and on. It's just like all over, even like in California and San Francisco, a lot of like the local politicians, different laws that are coming out, especially within regards to crimes against children. They have said they were leaving the party. So we're seeing this a lot, but it's kind of like the whole time that this was going on, you didn't see a damn word. And now that it's like you can see that the majority of the country is backing, what basically Trump has been saying, during his whole campaign up until this point, and like what needs to happen, the border and everything else. Now that you see all the support that they're getting, now all of a sudden it's like, I'm ready to tell all. I'm being brave. It's like, come look at me and buy my book. I'm going to tell you everything you want to know. And it's like, it's kind of a little too late. Like, where were you this whole time while everything was getting destroyed?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're just going to have to see, right? I mean, because she's made some kind of like outlandish claims. I guess in the memoir tease, I know you talked about it a little bit, but like she details like the dysfunction, fear-driven management, a culture of denial in the Biden administration. Now, for denial, I don't know if she is referring specifically to like his mental acuity. I know someone had like commented under my post and like said something like, where is it? Oh, you should read the inside jacket of KG Pay's book. She is upset by the betrayal of the Dems who pushed him out. I said, so she's arguing that his mental acuity was intact. And I was like, I don't know. I'm just saying things might not be what they appear at first look. So, you know, who knows? Who knows? Yeah. But let's move on to the next story. We just have some international news about a cricket match. So, you know, totally not American, but nonetheless, we do care about what goes on in other parts of the world. If I can get into the story. Can I? Yes, I can. Okay. So at least 11 die in crowd chaos outside Indian cricket stadium. So it's like so funny because cricket is part of the Olympics, but I don't feel like cricket is like as big of a sport in the US, right?
Yeah. I mean, like rugby has been coming here and, you know, of course, soccer. But yeah, cricket doesn't really make that strong of a swim over the pond.
Yeah, exactly. Bengal Uru. That's my best attempt. India. At least 11 people died on Wednesday in a crowd surge outside a cricket stadium in the Indian city of Bengaluru, where fans were celebrating Royal Challengers, their first Indian Premier league title win, authorities said. Thousands of people were like waving the home team's flag, lined around the streets of the stadium as the team arrived in a bus in the evening. TV channels showed with some climbing trees in the stadium wall for a better view. So people were outside with passes. They tried to like push through the gates. There was trouble between the premiere and the main arena, police said. So this is like insane. It's like people like hopping over the border. Like it's just like people climbing over others. And
I know. Well, I mean, listen to this. The chaos ensued as an estimated 200,000 to 300,000 fans gathered, far exceeding the stadium's, wait for this, 35,000 capacity.
Yeah.
Many attempted to enter through the limited gates, as you said, leading to overcrowding and a deadly crush, particularly near Gate 7. Victims included young fans aged between 13 and 33. And emergency services were facing challenges even reaching the injured. So that must have been terrifying. Can you imagine? Due to the dense crowd. And in response, the planned victory parade was canceled, of course. The Karnataka government announced a compensation of 10 lakh for each victim's family, which is in US dollars, it's basically like $12,000 for each victim's family, and free medical treatment for the injured. And the State Cricket Association added 5 lakh to the bereaved families. But 11 deaths. I mean, money, great, but like, who was organizing this thing? Like, why would you allow that many people to come into this place? I mean, don't you have, like, if you have a ticket, like, what goes on? Like, how?
So it says at least 11 people. So it's kind of like at this time, if there were 47 additional people that were injured in the incident, then I can imagine that death toll rising. But I mean, look, like there are other instances, like when you think of like the Super Bowl, or let's just think of like the Eagles, like
like the after party stuff. Yeah.
I mean, like Eagles fans are like ruthless, and there's like always a riot. There's like always things going on. Like there's we do have the same things over here. The difference is that it's like bad infrastructure over there, and people normally, when things happen here, take to the streets where it looks like over there they were just all trying to pile in. Now it's saying that there was an uncontrollable crowd at one specific gate, like you mentioned. The Bengaluru Metro stopped services near the stadium where the ceremony continued despite the turmoil outside. So, like, despite like literally all of this happening, people, being rushed to the hospital, people dying, like there was still so much going on. And it says that India is like actually really familiar with this, mainly at religious events, like, which is crazy because when you talk about like Hindu and like Buddhism, like you typically think that it's like a very like peaceful religion, but it says here at least 30 people died at a Hindu festival in January as tens of millions gathered to dip in sacred waters. So,
oh wow.
Yeah.
So it's obvious they have some issue with, like you said, infrastructure and like just regulations in general for specific.
And they have just like really small areas. Yeah, they have really small areas that like aren't equipped to like handle all that many people. But it's like everyone just kind of floods to this one area. So, just like praying for like everyone who is involved, and it's just really sad to see that this isn't kind of like a rare event, unfortunately. Fungus story. Okay, I just read that.
But yeah, so as we always say, our hearts go out to to the people of that area, and hopefully they can get it together. It's like it seems like a lot of people just stampeded the area, and it wasn't like they were inviting all of these people.
So all right, the next story that I have here, it's like we laughed and I don't think anyone even really heard me, but it was just funny in context. So Chinese nationals smuggle biohazard in Michigan. So this one's crazy.
Yes. Coming to you from the CBS News, two Chinese nationals accused of smuggling dangerous biological pathogen into Michigan. And it's weird because this should be like one of the major stories that is everywhere. Like every network should be talking about this. This is extremely insane and terrifying. Two Chinese nationals are accused of smuggling a potential agro-terrorism weapon via a noxious fungus into the U.S., according to the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of Michigan. Yongqing Jian, 33, and Zuyang Liu, 34, both citizens of the People's Republic of China, were charged in a criminal complaint with conspiracy, smuggling goods into the United States, false statements, and visa fraud, officials said in a complaint unsealed Tuesday. Jian worked at the University of Michigan, according to officials. Her boyfriend, Liu, works at a Chinese university. The investigation of joint effort of the FBI and U.S. Customs and Border Protection, quote, the alleged actions of these Chinese nationals, including a loyal member of the Chinese Communist Party, are the gravest national security concerns, U.S. Attorney Jerome F. Gorgon Jr. said in his statement. These two aliens have been charged with smuggling a fungus that has been described as a potential agro-terrorism weapon into the heartland of America, where they apparently intended to use a University of Michigan laboratory to further their scheme. The FBI arrested Jian in connection with smuggling activity into America, a fungus called I wrote it down so I can say it because it's hard to say. Fusarium graminearum, which scientific literature classifies as potential agro-terrorism weapon.
So, okay, I have a question. What is the difference between a bioterrorism weapon and an agro-terrorism weapon?
Well, this specifically will attack agriculture. It can be lethal for humans, but if you think of like fungus and like what it does like underground and like, kind of like going through and choking things, it's specifically made for that. But it also, the fumes that it creates can affect humans.
Well, because if it's affecting our agriculture, and then our agriculture is what, let's just say, animals eat.
Yeah, livestock as well. Yep.
Or it goes into livestock. Yeah, exactly. Then that can be converted into human consumption. So, I mean, it's interesting. It says it is so I just had to read on, I guess, a disease of wheat, barley, maize, and rice, and it's responsible for billions of dollars in economic losses worldwide each year. The toxins. So yeah, it essentially it essentially starts out in agriculture, but it does go into things that we put into our bodies because the toxins include vomiting, nausea, liver damage, reproduction,
fertility issues, liver failure. Yep.
Humans and livestock. Yep. So if you think about it, let's just say like a cow,
just like grazing, like eating the grass and everything.
A grass-fed cow, you think you're having something healthy, and then you end up getting that transferred, or however you get that ingested into your body.
Right.
Like, this is insane. This is
I
insane.
know. And just remember, just recently, Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs, she blocked a bill that was aiming to prevent China from buying up land next to strategic assets. This just happened. Yeah. So we have that, and then we have this. And it's really interesting because a lot of people, like, Sarah Huckabee, she last year, I believe it was, if I'm not mistaken, she put a lot of effort towards blocking the CCP from being able to buy up farmland in America. There's a lot of that going on. But the senior members of the GOP discussing whether or not to bring back the China Initiative, which was a program during the Bill Barr Justice Department to stop Chinese espionage that began American universities. So its key objective was to investigate and prosecute Chinese state-sponsored espionage targeting U.S. intellectual property, especially in tech and academia. And this was back in 2018. So you think about it, it's like 8 years ago now, and like all this time ago, we could have stopped what's happening now. We could have kind of stalled it. But of course, Biden got in, and probably whatever was trying to be done in that time was halted or, retracted or moved back. And now we're in a position where not only would we have sleeper cells like, the gentleman in Boulder, but now we have this where they're trying to attack us. And not only to harm us, but also, economic damage as well. That could be, because.
Yeah. So I pulled up an article in regards to what you're talking about with Katie Hobbs. It says, why did Katie Hobbs halt an effort to keep China from gobbling up Arizona land? It says that Democrats seem willing to serve the interests of everyone except for American citizens. In Arizona, that apparently includes serving the interests of hostile regimes. On Monday, Democratic Governor Katie Hobbs of Arizona vetoed Senate Bill 1109. So that was the bill specifically, which would have prohibited the government of Communist China from purchasing land in the state.
Yep.
So,
and of course, it got the, all of these initiatives get criticized, for being insensitive.
Yeah, so Senate Bill 1109 brought up concerns over potential Chinese spying near U.S. military installations. Katie Hobbs basically said this legislation is ineffective at counter-espionage and does not directly protect our military assets. Additionally, it lacks clear implementation criteria and opens the door to arbitrary enforcement. And so this article says, in a word, rubbish, let the state legislator deal with any potential implementation and enforce problems as they arrive. In the meantime, no foreign government, let alone a hostile one, should own American land. And Republican State Senator Janae Champ, who sponsored the bill, said that this is like putting our national security at risk, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is ludicrous. This bill, if passed, would have prevented China from having a stake of 30% or more on Arizona property. So again, this is Michigan, so it doesn't necessarily Senate Bill 1109 doesn't necessarily affect what had happened.
But it gives like a precedent because because anything that they're going to try to do, you think of like the Chinese spy balloon and everything that we were like wondering about that and all of that other kind of stuff. It's kind of like anything that's done to target the United States. They do a little, they see what they can get away with.
Mm-hmm.
They do a little more, they see what they can get away with. So if they can get away with things being done in one spot, maybe this was kind of like a test run to see how it went. But back during the China initiative that I was speaking to earlier, there were multiple scientists that were charged for grant fraud and failing to disclose Chinese affiliations, often in the NIH or the DoD funded research. So again, this was happening so long ago where there was an obvious problem that they were trying to address. And what happened from then to now? Like what changed? What was made more lenient to give them the leg up to start doing this kind of stuff again? And here we are, and now we're playing catch up.
All I was going to say before we move on to Caption This is Trump is still praising President Xi Jinping. So I don't know if that's in order to get on his good side with everything that is developing. But
like,
you know,
what is he saying? Like when because I hear him when he talks about like in press conferences, you know, he'll say something like, "We've had a great conversation," or something like that, or a Trump Truth Social. Let me see. Then I know it's that, you know, I know he says stuff like that, and it's basically just to kind of, it almost bolsters himself because he's like, you know, I'm the major negotiator. I can negotiate with anyone. So it's like, you know, we had a really good conversation. You know, I think we're gonna have a good relationship. But you know, having a relationship and, you know, loving the person or supporting them or, you know, propping them up, it's kind of different.
Yeah. Okay. So I misspoke. I believe I thought I had seen something on X about it as him praising him, but now, as of 11 hours ago, Trump vents that China's Xi Jinping is extremely hard to make a deal with. Mm-hmm. So, you know, he's struggled to get the Chinese leader on board with a lot of what's going on. You have this Argo/bioterrorism happening, you know, the same week that the Senate Bill 1109 didn't pass. There's a lot of scary things going on with the CCP gaining access to us through American soil, right? Yeah. So these are all things to be.
So we just got to keep it then in perspective. Like we've been attacked by so many different directions. So there's a lot of cleanup to do. Like literally, it's really bad, you know? So.
Yeah, absolutely.
But are you ready for our palate cleanser? Caption this, because I always am at this point after these crazy stories. But yeah, so let's get to it. All right. So as usual, guys, we have an AI generated photo and we ask you, the audience, to please give us your best captions, the funniest ones you can drum up, and Valley and I will vote on the best at the end. So we got a goth girl and Hook and Peter Pan, and I don't know if she's trying to save him, or I don't know if she's giving him like a death stare. Peter Pan. But I got to come up with something myself. Let's see. I agree, Doug. China does not need any of our land. I agree.
Okay, let's see. I don't know. I really don't know about this one. Crimson versus Puck. I know. I thought of Crimson too.
Yeah. Well, this was, I believe, if it was it submitted by Crimson. I think so.
I have one. Feminism versus Peter. If you know, you know. But I don't know how many women are watching this right now.
Ha! That's funny. I don't want to grow up. Peter Pan.
Oh, I get it. That's a play on words there.
Inspired by Crimson, she described a dream in a Discord VC. Why are my dreams fun like that? Mine are so literal. I never have like any like fantastical dreams with like cartoons or anything like that.
No, I have dreams for like I forget what it's called, but it's like you're like in a dream within a dream, and you know you're. It's like your subconscious is like very alert to what's going on.
Do you ever try to see if you can like
wake up out of it?
No, like if you can like make the dream do what you want.
Oh,
it's kind of yeah. Tinkerbell went goth. Oh, the humanity. Yeah, that is a good one. Sorry, the producer's saying that he likes the Doug's.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a good one. What did Iris say? I once had Captain Hook try to fight for me at Disney. He liked my hat and took a fancy to me. Really? What? I only went to Disney World once, and I was too young to even remember. I do remember it's a small world after all thing. That was creepy.
I know a lot of people that go to Disney. I will just say, Disney adults need to be studied. Like, I understand if you go with your family, I do, or like even if you go in a relationship. But like, if you just are in like your 30s and 40s, and you just go to Disneyland like by yourself, I don't know. I think that's weird, but
yeah, I'm more of a Universal girl. I've been there a couple of times.
I'm more of like, I just don't go to theme parks.
You know where I haven't been in a while? What's the other one? The roller coaster place.
Six Flags.
Thank you. I was never going to get there.
It was in New York?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I don't know. I think you have to... Is it in Jersey? I don't remember. It's been a long time. New Jersey?
Is it like by Ocean City?
I don't remember. I don't remember. I did drive there once, too. That's so funny. And it was before GPS. I think we used MapQuest. Yeah, I did just date myself.
Okay.
You got something brewing?
No. No. I think we have a few good ones. Like I think this one is good.
Yeah, I like that one.
And then I think this one is good. Not being biased.
I know. That was good.
I am though. Yours is good too if I can scroll up a bit.
Oh really? I thought mine sucked.
But I think oh, thank you. I think I like this one. From Doug.
Yeah, I agree. I like that one too.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like she's the one that's missing. All right, so yeah, congratulations, Doug. You are tonight's Caption This winner. Thank you so much for your submission and everyone else who's done so. Yeah, great job. All right, so are we going to be moving on to the next? Okay. So we just have like one quick one that's really not like a ton to talk about, but it's the Killdozer anniversary, 20 years later. I don't know if you guys even know about that in the story, but basically 20 years ago, a man bent on destroying the town of Granbury for perceived wrongs got into his modified bulldozer and went on a rampage that thrust the small mountain town into the national spotlight. It's been called the Killdozer Rampage, and on June 4, 2004, it played out in the streets of the Grant County town of Granbury to the horrors of residents. So basically, this guy had a dispute about his land and his property and his business. they were putting a bunch of fines on him, saying that he wasn't up to code. So he wanted to get back at the town who didn't stand up for him, and he just went through with this huge thing that's basically like a tank. They couldn't penetrate it at all, and he was able to destroy a lot of property. It knocked down about 13 buildings and destroyed a large portion of Granby's business district and cost more than $5 million in damages. And then, at the end of it all, he basically unalived himself. So he was just kind of like doing that to prove his point, I guess. But yeah, this is the 20th anniversary of that. But I mean, it's very tragic and terrible, but it's been kind of like a spectacular thing that people remember happening because it was just so crazy. But yeah, thank you guys so much as always for joining us for Sunset Rants. Of course, we have tomorrow as well, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And don't forget, right after the show tonight, we have AKM Romanation along with the Honey Badger. Should be starting up shortly after we finish, maybe a little after 10. So just kind of stick around. Always hit that notification bell. It's the best way to know when we go live with any of our shows. And of course, visit our website. We have risingmiddleamerica.com where you can join the Discord from there. You can get all of our shows, our links to YouTube and X and Rumble and all of that good stuff. You can get to know the hosts and everything else. So, and of course, our merch, definitely check that out and support our growing network. But yeah, any final thoughts, Valley?
Nope, just interested to see what will happen more with Elon. Is he sounding the alarm? Is he shifting the blame? Was exit calculated? Are we going to continue to have the growing support towards Massey, Rand, and Elon, and have more GOP involved in trying to codify a better bill?
Make it more beautiful.
Make it more beautiful. So,
or actually beautiful. Yeah.
But no, I think this is the last time you'll be seeing us for the week. So
yeah, have a great weekend, you guys. We'll see you all in the chats and everything. And of course, Valley and myself will be here for you guys on Monday night. Same time, same place. Have a great night, you guys.
Yeah, and look forward to Fox and Sass. We are working on that this weekend. So it will most likely come out the following. We will keep you guys posted. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Bye.
So I got to thinking, there's MAHA, Make America Healthy Again. MAGA, Make America Great Again. But what we really need to do is make America follow the Constitution again. Motherfucker. That sounded better in my head.